You're listening to 89.7 FM Eastside Radio. This is Natasha and the Dialogue Show, where we interview remarkable people. Today I have an incredible guest on my show. Well, I always have incredible guests, but today specifically incredible because I know him well and I never knew his story. And so listening to his story has been really, really exciting. I'd like to welcome Kobi Bokshish. How's that did I get the name right?
You got it right.
I got it right. Oh, there we go. And you are an award-winning hairdresser and creative director. In fact, you are one of those hairdressers who has managed to reach very lofty heights in an incredibly diverse area. Not only award-winning, but a charity organizer, someone who's innovated new products. You've kind of done a hell of a lot, and yet never found hairdressing until you were in the army.
Correct.
It's just a bizarre story. So we're going to go back a little bit. Born in Israel.
Yeah.
And 3 sisters.
3 older sisters.
Never ever wanted to do their hair.
Not really. They kind of dressed me in dresses and did my hair. More than anything, I was like the little toy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you were sort of bright when it came to kind of mechanical things at school. Like to use your hands. I mean, did you have an idea when you were at school what you wanted to grow up and be?
Not really. I was kind of bored from the academic side of things. I love mathematics and technical stuff and sport. I was really good at sport. I was playing handball professionally for Israel. I was representing Israel at handball. But yeah, I never knew what I want to do. I was, free spirit, I guess.
I think you're still a free spirit, but you grew up in a very traditional home.
Yeah.
So your home was very traditional from the point of view that, you kept all the holy days holy, and you were very traditionally raised, and that's actually stayed with you throughout your life.
Absolutely. It's something that I will never give up because I think the outbringing that I had in Israel was really important for me. My family are born in Tunisia and Morocco, Jewish Tunisian Moroccan, and they moved to Israel, and obviously I'm born in Israel. So they kept a lot of the Jewish traditional in Israel. And when I grew up, it was really, really important. Shabbat was for us a day that I will never be able to miss. I was always there. Holidays was really important for me. And that's something that I carry with me, 30, 40 years later. I'm still doing it because I think when I look at religion, I don't look at it as there is God and you have to do what he says because he's going to sit there with a stick and going to punch you after. It's about controlling your life. So it just gives me self-control. So for example, I smoke, and that's not something that I said to anybody to do, but on one day of the week I don't smoke, which is Shabbat, and it's just basically controlling myself and becoming a better person. And that's what I found religion. And again, it's something that I carry with me for the rest of my life.
Now, you became a teenager, as one does, and became a very naughty boy.
Indeed.
You managed to gather a crew, as you called it, of young men and got into
a lot of trouble. So drugs and alcohol and wild stuff and, quite off the rails in a lot of ways. Indeed.
But you have to go to the army in Israel. I mean, there's conscription. So even though you were naughty and wild, you needed to go into this kind of conforming space. How was that for you?
It was challenging, not only because the reason I had to go to the army, because my mom at the time was really sick with cancer, and I was, with all the craziness that I had, I was still mommy boy. I was the
baby.
The baby, the fourth child, the boy, and I was really connected with my mom, and she was sick, and that's also affect my my teenage time, I guess. And when I joined the army, I really didn't want to do it, but I had to. And I think that's the best thing that ever happened to me. 7 months after I joined the army, my mom passed away, and that was probably the hardest thing that ever happened to me. And I really, took it very, very difficult and very hard. And 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, they caught me smoking pot, and they put me in the army jail.
To go to jail.
Yeah,
You've really had an interesting life, haven't you?
Yeah, indeed. The army jail I think it was a wake-up call for me. It was like, that's the first time I've been in jail or in trouble with the police, with all the craziness that I had.
And that could have been your future.
That could have been my future, absolutely. And that was the switch in time. That was when I really realized that life is more than that. I was in the jail for 18 days, and I got out, and I met this amazing commander, and she told me, so what's next? And I said, get me out of here. I don't want to do one more day in the army. And she said, well, it's not going to happen. You're going to stay here. But what do you want to do? I can help you do something that you like. And I said, well, I want to be as less as possible in the army base. I want to be with my dad. I want to be with my sisters. And she said to me, can you cut hair? And I said, I can give it a go. I've got 3 older sisters. I'm sure I can do something like that. And without further notice, she said to me, okay, Monday morning, you go to the salon, and there is a hairdresser there. He's a bit, he's been there for a while, but he's about to retire the army kind of thing. And you'll be fine. And the reason I chose it is because it was only 5 days in the army and then 9 days I'm at home. And I said, you know what, I'll take it. Monday morning come, I get into the salon, and I don't know, it was something in the air. And as soon as I hold the clipper, it was it for me. I couldn't cut hair, but I felt it.
You just had like an electric surge.
I just knew it. I knew that this is my career, this is my path, this is everything I want to do in the rest of my life. And the way I look at it, 22, 23 years later, it was my mom, basically, after she passed away, she literally gave me this present of being who I am today, with hairdressing.
So we are in the army, in the army, doing army hair. You also actually then went and worked in a salon,
correct?
Didn't you? So you got rid of the naughty friends.
Yeah.
Got rid of the friends and really turned your life around.
Everything.
In a huge way. After the army, you traveled, and what did you find when you traveled with hairdressing as a skill?
Everything. I could communicate without languages. I traveled. I've been 1 year in India and 1 year in Thailand, and languages was a barrier, obviously, but I had my tools. I could make people happy. I could actually find that I could make money as well. Financially I could, because in India in 100 Australian dollar, you can live for a month at a time.
Wow.
And I could make $200-300 a week. So, I had kind of comfortable life there, and I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, that was with the hairdressing. And I cut hair in the most exotic and crazy places, in the Himalaya mountain to the Thailand beaches. It
Wow.
was beautiful.
You said that you cut some homeless people's hair as well while
Absolutely.
you were in India.
Yeah.
You were, so that part of giving has always been inside you.
That was my mom.
I think you need to own some of this as well. I think your mother's passed it on to you.
Indeed. You know what, Natasha?
I think it's inside you.
I'm going to share something with you that I never share
Yes.
with a lot of people. And the giving, that's where it's coming from. When a week before my mom passed away, she told me that I've got another sister, which I never knew. I knew her as my cousin.
Okay.
And what she said to me, that love her, she's your sister. And that's why I said I've got 3 sisters, but I grew up with 2 sisters at home.
Okay.
And her name is Merav. And before she was born, she's 3 years older than me. Before she was born, my mom was pregnant, and she was a little bit sick in the pregnancy. And because my family was very traditional, one of my father's brother and his wife couldn't have kids. And it was pressure from the family maybe to give them the child legally. And my mom didn't want to do it, but in the end, a lot of pressure obviously put her to do that. And she did give my sister her born to these parents, and she grew up like she's her niece. And that's what killed my mother. But it was giving, it was the most incredible thing for her. So she loved give. And now I me and my sister obviously spoke about it, and we went back in time and discover everything. But yeah, I've got 3 older sisters, and my mom gave a child.
That is an incredible, incredible story.
I know.
That is quite the most remarkable thing. So you are very much your mother's son.
Yeah.
Very much so.
I try as much as I can, because again, I can't imagine giving a child, an unborn child, and live next to it.
You're listening to 89.7 FM Eastside Radio. This is Natasha and The Dialogue, where we interview remarkable people. Today on the show, I have Kobi Bokshish, who is an award-winning hairdresser and creative director. We've traveled around the world. You've met you met someone while you were traveling.
Yeah.
and she was a Kiwi.
Yeah, she was a Kiwi.
She was a Kiwi. She is a Kiwi still. And then kind of came back to Australia. And then you were planning on actually going back and living in Israel.
Yeah, I never left Israel. I never thought that that's what I want to get out of Israel. I just traveled, and I met this beautiful girl, and we spent together 4 months in Australia, and then we went back to India, and we said, let's try Israel. And yeah, to try to put a Kiwi girl in Israel, it's a little bit challenging, just a bit.
They like space.
They like space.
They're used to space. They've got sheep, they've got space, they've got Israel, not so much.
Not so much. It's a bit more fast-paced, we call it. You know, it's
wild.
It's a bit louder.
It's like the Wild West.
Wild West for a Kiwi, and we enjoyed it, but we obviously decided it's not going to happen, and we said let's do Australia because we both lived in Australia before. So we came here, and I had a holiday visa with a little bit of Section 2 work and
no English.
No English.
Still no English. How did you communicate with your Kiwi girlfriend?
Sex.
Right. Well, I think that's how a lot of them start, and I think that's how a lot of them end. So you got no English, but you got the skill. And you're in Australia, a very different culture to, any of the places you've actually been to. How did you manage? How did you survive?
I had a dream. I had a goal. And when I set myself a goal, I will make it happen. And I need financial support. Obviously I was living here. And the last thing I like to do is to get from somebody else or to ask for my family for support. So I knocked on doors, and, the third door that I knocked asking for a job, it was this incredible guy, Mr. Barry Brickman, standing in front, and he never stand in the front. He was the owner of the place, and he asked me some question which I had no idea what he was asking. I was just nodding, and apparently he gave me a job. And it was funny, but it just happened, and that was an older ladies salon. So it was, the average age was between 70 and 80. It was not kind of my cup of tea or my clients.
And you had long hair and ripped jeans, and you were like
Absolutely.
the groovy, the cool guy.
I think the ladies call me the crazy guy rather than the cool guy.
Okay.
I was definitely not one of them.
But you have an enigmatic personality. I mean, you do. Your personality is, you expend a lot of energy, but you also expend a lot of love. I mean, walking into Shape, everybody is loved. Everybody is special when you walk in there. You become the queen for a couple of hours while you're in there. And that, I think, comes from, that's part of your spirit.
It is. I believe that human race is the most beautiful thing. And when I get people coming to the salon, what I want to do is to give them a total experience. And I guess the most important thing for me, a legacy that I would like to leave, it's to really change the image of hairdressing in Australia and in the world in general. I'm not just a hairdresser, and I don't like people saying I'm just a hairdresser. We are way more than that. We are skillful scientists, giving people, listening to people, touching people. And when I touch somebody or any of my team or any hairdresser that I know, we don't touch just the outside of them. We touch way deeper than that. We're doing, as I said, from homeless people to lawyers, to doctors, to judges, to electricians. Anybody is welcome in our salon. We don't discriminate, and we want to make sure that we can change your life. And not only, as I said, change your life where you're going out that night and you're looking the best. It's really changing your life, and that's what our skill is. And my idol, I think he's an idol for all hairdressers, Vidal Sassoon, started it. And that's what I want to continue. So it's really important for me. It's not just touching hair.
So you took over the salon. This marvelous, lovely mentor of yours actually walked out of the salon 5 years later.
It wasn't just I took over.
He gave you the keys.
Pretty much, yeah. 5 years after, he sponsored me. I was working there for 5 years, and I had a lot of opportunities, obviously, during the day. People said to me, come on, let me open your salon, let me lend you some money. I was like, no, I'm sticking with the person that really gave me. 5 years later, he literally just handed me the keys and said, here you go, son, you go and do what you need to do and make me proud. And didn't charge me a cent, not even a cent. 8 months later, I saved $18,000, and I opened my salon that's called Intershape today. And I kept his name. So that was the name. He had it for 40 years. And I kept the name that his wife picked up. And gave all the cards of the old ladies to my team that was there. And I said, you guys take it and rent the chairs wherever you want. I'm going. And I went with one apprentice. It was 12 years ago. And today we're a team of 10.
You're listening to 89.7 FM Eastside Radio. This is Natasha and The Dialogue Show, where we interview remarkable people. Today on the show, I have Kobi Bokshish, award-winning hairdresser, creative director, and the owner of Intershape Hair Salon. Now, you married your apprentice.
I did. Don't judge me on that. Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful story.
It is.
Yeah, the master and the young girl. She was young. She came in at 18.
Yeah.
And you were still, carrying on with everyone and being your effusive self. But you said when there was a connection, there was just a connection, and you both recognized it.
Yeah, she was there for about 2-3 years. She always felt special for me, like kind of something that I didn't know what it was. I was engaged. She was with somebody else. Unfortunately, she actually walked on me in some action as well, and never judged me. But the beautiful thing is, it's one day it was my day off, and we sat down on the beach and we looked at each other and it's like, what is it? And we both said, I don't know. I think it's love. And we told her parents. That was freaking out. She told her boyfriend at the time, and we moved in together the first day. 5 days later, it was Melbourne Cup, and I proposed, and she said yes. We almost gave her parents a heart attack because 5 days ago she was with somebody else. Suddenly she's engaged, and she was 21 at the time. 5 months later went to Israel. My sisters organized an amazing wedding for us. We had an amazing wedding. I got her pregnant in the first week, and by the age of 22 she was a mother. And today we've got 2 beautiful kids, Ruby and Ariel, 9 and 6. And
you've got gorgeous children. They're always running around and, just equally have those outward going personalities. But you said Michelle is your rock.
Absolutely.
You can't do it with, you couldn't do it as well without her.
I think words cannot describe what Michelle means to me. She's always been there, always supported me. She let me know when my ego is go too high or when my ego is too low. She always tell me what's the right decision. I always ask her, what should I do? Do I do it right? She always push me to achieve my goals. She always there when I travel, because I travel a lot. I educate, I do shows, I do collections. I travel a lot, and some years I'm doing like 32 weekends a year that I'm away, and she's with the kids, and she's always there. In the salon, she's still full time.
And she's great, yeah.
She's amazing.
So let's talk a little bit about the awards that you've won, because you've won a slew of awards. I mean, you wrote them down, and I started reading them, and eventually my eyes blurred over. You've won sort of smaller awards right up until into the international arena. So let me ask you, in terms of the awards, what are the pinnacle awards that you want to win within the hairdressing industry?
I guess awards was never something that I wanted to win because of my ego. My goal was about 6-7 years ago, because I wanted to do more charities event.
Yep.
And when I started to do charities, nobody knew my name in Australia. It was very difficult to get sponsors, to get people to help me, to get the brands behind me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to win Australian Hairdresser of the Year, and that's going to, help me, because once you're Australian Hairdresser of the Year, every company wants to be around you. And that was my goal. And as I said, Natasha, when I set a goal, when I have a dream, I'll achieve it. I'll achieve it. And thankfully, last year, I was finalist for Australian Hairdresser of the Year at Hair Expo Award and the HFA Award the year before, which again, it's one step closer. It was the last 6 standing, it's incredible. And again, the talent in Australia, it's incredible. So to win this award, you have to win a lot of other awards, which is including collection, and it's quite expensive, but it's very creative side of things. And that's only the reason why I'm doing it. And as I said, it's not because to tell that I'm the best, because I don't think anybody can judge per image and said this is better than this one. It's just the way they look at it, and it's in the eye of the beholder. That's how I see it. Yeah, subjective.
So it's all about the charity. So you started doing some charity work with Ronnie Khan from Oz Harvest. She's an incredible woman. We've had her on the show before. And they would bring buses of people in, and you would have these transformational days. But you decided you could do something a bit bigger. And so you went into this event called Hair Raise.
Correct.
What does that involve?
That was involve a lot of sleepless night. stress, but in the end of the day, the goal was to make people happy, and we achieved that. It was a killer. I wanted to do an event that I can basically raise money, but not only raise money, raise the industry image, and to show that hairdressers are not just hairdressers, and we can do much more than that. So I designed an event that called Hair Raised. At the time, nobody knew my name, and I picked up some amazing, incredible talent, which won Australian Hairdresser of the Year. Like, we had Frank, we had Emiliano Vitali, we had Sharon Blaine, which is legend in the industry. And when I asked them, they all said, absolutely. I went to companies and asked for $5,000 and $10,000 up front, and they had no idea who I was and why do I want this money. And I said, it's for charity event. And yeah, I got about, I think it was about 6 or 7 companies that gave me $5,000 or $10,000 for sponsors. I got alcohol, I got food, I got the marquee, the casino. So all this was, basically donated to me, and we put an amazing hair show with all the, we had dancers, we had VIP areas, and we raised about $45,000 that we gave to Oz Harvest and Heart Kids Foundation.
Fantastic. And
again, I think that the industry kind of start, okay, let's do some charities. And yeah, that was one of the event, and we're gonna keep growing it and making it much, much bigger.
Fantastic. The other thing that you've been involved in is trying to make sure that the industry is legislated, that there is, that hairdressers have to actually conform to certain certification and all the rest of it. Why is that so important?
It's a key for our industry because, as I said, have you ever seen a doctor that is not registered?
It's true.
Absolutely. And there is no way that hairdresser will not be registered. I don't want somebody that never been educated will damage my name after all these years that I put and been educated. And as I said, it's a science. It's not just, I'm cutting hair. There is method and science for all of that. So we do have an organization that's called AHC, Australian Hairdressing Council, that it's basically our voice of hairdressers to the government, and we trying to legislate laws or to give them the challenge. And it's a group of hairdressers that together, and everybody can join, every salon owner can join. And I think they're doing a remarkable job. I think 3 weeks ago we won something that was incredible. The government actually tried to take the act of hairdressing away completely. So anybody could do hair without certificate. And we protested, and the AHC was our voice, and we won. So the act is staying, and hairdressers will need to be legislated. So it's really, really important for me.
You're listening to 89.7 FM Eastside Radio. This is Natasha and The Dialogue, where we interview remarkable people. Today on the show, I have Kobi Bokshish, who is an award-winning hairdresser and creative director. You're such a confident, creative man. I'm curious about what it is that you struggle with. What do you struggle with? What's hard for you?
I think time management, team.
Not from a business point of view. Inside you, what is your struggle? What do you find hard?
To control, because the more you achieve, the more your ego grow. And it's a challenge because when I give, if I can make 100% of my giving because I wanted to give to this person and because I care about what this person will get, that would be my win. And that's a challenge because nobody in the world can give something without expecting something in return. And my percentage obviously is growing. Before it was maybe 50-50. Mm-hmm. Now it's 80-20. So when I give something, I'm trying to be as hard. That is a big challenge, that some days you give something and you want something in return, and I'm trying to be as
That's hard, man.
It's very, very hard.
That's hard. That is a huge, because I think naturally, when I think about people who give and don't expect anything in return, I can think of only Mother Teresa, So it's a huge challenge to be able to try and
Father Kobi, we can work on it. But that's just one thing. But again, it's just give, and give is not necessarily give charity. Give is to give somebody to something to somebody, and that is, it's not only money. It's give. It's the way you say thank you, the way you look at somebody, it's everything that you basically give somebody, and it's a challenging thing. And as I said, unfortunately, we live in society that ego and Facebook and social media and all this is involved, and I don't want to make myself sound like a saint, but it's something that I'm challenged every day, waking up and being a better person, being a better father.
Now, one of the things that you've actually introduced with some partners is Ecoheads. And an eco-head is not somebody with a strange head. It is actually... I'm going to give you the opportunity of explaining it. What is an eco-head?
You just gave me an idea. Ecoheads. It's started with my partner, my business partner with Ecoheads, Benny Reicher. He lived in Israel. We grew up together. He's a business side. He studied, has degrees and all this stuff, and he was managing a business in Israel. And obviously, I'm the creative side. And we spoke one day, and he said to me, "I really want to come to Australia, but let's do something." And we said, "Okay, what we can do?" And for me, it was always give back to the industry or to the environment. It's really important for me. So we start thinking, and we came up with this amazing shower head that go instead of the normal tap that you've got in the salon, that basically there is no pressure. And we said, okay, how can we change it and how can we save water? So we came up with this incredible shower head. It's called Ecohead, and it's globally at the moment, that double the water pressure and saving up to 65% less water. It's registered. We've got a certified of how much water we save. We're today in about 18 countries around the world. And it's been incredible, and we continue developing things. We just launched our new products called the Ping. It's a color mixer that basically save you a lot of color, but also there is no more fumes, because when you mix it, before you breathe all the ammonia and hairdressers get sick and the salons stink. And now we created that. And there is another products in the making that been working on about 3 years already. We just did our final test, and hopefully we're going to launch it. I can't talk about it now. But it's a game changer. It's something completely different. We've got a patent on it. We've got absolutely incredible something that's coming, and it's going to change the world of hairdressing and our image as well, because we are not only going to make the client hair feel better, we're going to make the environment better as well. And as I said, it's really, 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 really important for me to make sure that the image of the hairdressing world is
held up there in a bright light. Well, listen, every single one of us needs to have our hair done. And to be honest, there's nothing better than walking out with a phenomenal new haircut and feeling like you've actually just had a personal experience with someone who's cutting it, and you actually keep going back to that person over and over again. There's a relationship. It's a vital part of Australian life, and I think a life around the world. It's just normal. Now, we're only coming towards the end of the interview, and I literally have 30 seconds left, but I want to know, what is up for you next? What is the next dream?
The next dream, it's winning Australian Hairdresser of the Year, so I can continue giving more charities, developing Ecoheads, be an incredible father, and make Intershape proud. And my legacy will be to change the image of hairdressing. And I'm not just a hairdresser, and nobody else is just a hairdresser. We are hairdressers, and we're very proud of it. We touch people in every angle, on the inside and the outside, and we can change the world.
Well, on that happy changing the world note, I look forward to watching how that progresses over time. Thank you so much for coming in.
It was absolutely a pleasure, Natasha.
It was my pleasure. I've learned so much about you, but also the fact that you've shared so many beautiful stories with us, and you've had such a fantastically diverse life. I think there are a whole lot of people out there who are going to go out and follow their dreams, hopefully. You're listening to The Dialogue. We will be back next week with another fantastic story.